The NonStop Radio Show.
Non-stop hip-hop.
The hottest underground hip-hop and R&B show on this side of the net.
So coming out of the DMV area, you know, the DMV is definitely a hotbed I like to consider when it comes to the amount of musical talent that has come out of the DC area, the DMV area, and all that good stuff, man. So what's the vibes like out there right now for you guys, man? How has the scene been looking here lately?
The scene is growing crazy. As far as the industry grows, more and more artists are getting into the industry and pedestal and into big mainstream positions, and I'm loving that. Definitely shout out Wale. You know, he kicked the door open for a lot of us artists to come and be able to flourish in the industry like we are now. I feel like it's coming together with more unity, and we actually have like a DMV sound that they have like a culture of the new wave of rappers in DC. So I feel like that's something great too, because I see like people from New York and Atlanta starting to copy those flows, or Cardi B and Glorilla did that, like a dance that they've been doing in DC for years on the awards the other day. So I mean, it's influencing and impacting the world in different ways. So I'm loving that.
Definitely got to say shout out to the DMV. You know, before, you know, it's crazy that you mentioned Wale, because that was one of the ones I was getting ready to bring up and ask you, do you feel like he paved the way for? But me, I'm a little bit of, old school kind of guy. I go back to the days when, you know, the go-go scene was really popping. And I know a lot of people outside of DC don't really know too much about go-go and all that good stuff. So, you know, a lot of the newer generational listeners that we have that tune into this platform, a lot of them are familiar with the likes of a Wale and, you know, a lot of artists that have came from out of that area since then, man. So with that being said, man, where do you rank as far as DMV artists right now that you feel?
What do I rank?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm one of the biggest artists in the DMV area right now. I mean, you can't go there and speak my name and not nobody, and they don't know me. I actually broke the glass ceiling in there, so that's why I'm living in Los Angeles right now, because I have to expand, you know?
Now, was that by chance that you moved out to LA, or is that was just, you know, part of, you know, the success that you have been garnering so far for your career and being one of the biggest artists from out of the DMV area?
A combination of both, because I was already grinding and creating opportunity. I actually started working with Wale, and Wale took me on tour with him, and I would perform with some records, and I also was his hype man. So I went on like 2 tours with him for that, and then I went on tour with Nas with him, and then we ended up in LA.
Now, working with some big artists like that, such as Nas, you know, here in New York, you know, everybody know who Nas is by now. If you don't know who Nas is, you've definitely been living under a rock. But, you know, getting the opportunity to work with and tour around with Nas and Wale, and then as you mentioned earlier at the beginning part of this segment, you also mentioned that you worked with a lot of, you know, big names within the industry and a lot of different people within the industry. So how has that experience worked out for you thus far? Like, how does that make you feel being able to stand on the same stage with some of the people that is, you know, so well known to so many people?
It's very exciting, and it always gives me more motivation, because I mean, I always like look at it in my head. I'm a very godly person, and I always pray. And when I'm in the situations where I am in those rooms with those energies, I always say like, God, if I'm this close, it means I'm this close to my dream. You know what I'm saying? You know how to be like, I'm so close to my dreams, I can touch it. And it's like, if I'm this close, you didn't bring me here for no reason. So obviously, I remember at one time, I was running around with Wale and his manager, and we were doing a lot of different stuff, and his manager was showing me certain stuff to do, and I was like, well, I need to learn how to do this. I was like, I don't want to learn how to do this. I was like, I'm a rapper. And he was like, bro, when it's your time, you're going to realize that you know everything. So you know how the business is supposed to be ran. And now I'm grateful because I got to see all that stuff like hand in hand, like, you know?
And that's always a good thing, especially, you know, when you have a lot of artists right now that don't get the chance, or should I say the opportunity to work with so many, you know, well-established veterans within the game. So, you know, a lot of them come into the whole music industry and they forget that there's a business side to it. And you'll see a lot of these artists that tend to get caught up in some bad situations business-wise, that if they would have took a little time to like really like study the game and study how the business works and stuff like that, may have had a different outcome from them. So like with that being said, like with any artist out there that's listening right now, when it comes to the business, like what kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, I would say stay as grounded as possible, stay as humble as possible. Don't think that you're bigger than any opportunity, because I mean, the ground foundation is always what's going to be able to pedestal you to wherever you're going. Or if you get knocked back down, you remember there's a certain foundation that's always going to work, that builds you to that leverage. So for me, it's like, I know when I first started my career, I was like, yo, God, no matter who I meet, no matter the rooms I go into, can you please make me be able to be humble and like not put any of these things before you. So with that, like it always, I feel like it always kept me centered to the point where I'm not. Of course, I like I could be a fan of somebody's music, so like and acknowledge that, because people deserve their flowers and stuff like that. But it's not to a point, not to a fault where sometimes you don't know because you're just chasing the dream instead of understanding that there's a purpose for you to be here. There's a time and a place for everything. Everything is chess, not checkers in this industry. It's a real business, and not just clubbing and partying and women or whatever your desires are. This is a real business, so stay as grounded as you possibly can, and just like be as humble, because you should always be a student.
Mm-hmm. I definitely do agree with that one, man. And it's like, I don't know, maybe, you know, this is just me from an outside looking in, because I never really gotten that deep into the music industry when it comes to like myself as an artist or anything. So, you know, sometimes when I look at it, I think a lot of these artists, they get caught up in the lifestyle more so than the actual purpose that they really originally got into the music industry for, and which I understand, because, you know, especially a lot of people that come from underprivileged opportunities or situations growing up, when they get exposed to so many different things at one time and it's coming at them so differently and so fast, it's like they don't have a chance to really adjust to it or really, you know, stay grounded. So they get swept up in the current when it comes along with the instant, you know, fame and gratification that they receive. And with that being said, like, you know, when it comes to the industry now, you know, the way, you know, a lot of things is going, you see a lot of the, you know, sad, tragic stories that is happening right now. And then you see a lot of different things and beefs going on. Is the music industry as close as it once was, or is it still on a competitive cutthroat kind of level that we know it as?
I feel like it's still on a competitive cutthroat. I mean, look at how much diss rapping it is, even more than it was before. It is like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's on the same tier, if not even a little bit worse. I feel like back then, even though it was rap that was like, it was still beef, it was still more substance than everybody just dissing each other, and that's the record, you know? Mm-hmm.